Good evening. Welcome in RNQ Ezino classes. Epistemology. Epistemology. Block number 1. Unit 1. Nature and scope of block number 1. Unit number 3. Theories of error and truth Indian. 3.1 Introduction. Our knowledge of things or ordinary objects of the world is generally expressed in the form of judgment or propositions. Truth and error are characters of judgments or of propositions which are variable expressions of judgments. If there by any knowledge of anything which is not or cannot be expressed in the form of judgments, then the knowledge can be said to have the character of the truth of falsity in it. In considering the problem of the truth and error, we shall be concerned with empirical facts expressed in the form of judgments or expressed in words as prepositions. A judgment is an assertion about something which claims to be true but may be false. A judgment may be affirmative or negative. It may either affirm or deny that a thing is such and such, but in such case it claims to be true. It proceeds on the understanding that what is affirmed or denied in the judgment is true, or that is the real fact. But in knowledge there is no such claim to be true. There is no occasions for truth and error. Doubt as a mental state is neither true nor false, because one who is in the doubt does not claim that this doubt gives him the truth of the matter he doubts. Rather, he is in doubt as to what the truth of the matter may be. Now, a judgment being a definite assertion that a thing is or is not such and such, no claims to be true, but it may be true as well as false. What makes one judgment true and another false? What do we mean by the truth and falsehood of judgments? How do we know that one judgment is true and another false or erroneous? With regard to truth and error, there are two main questions, namely how truth and error are constituted, and now they are known to tested. The first question relates to the nature of truth and error, and the second to the test or criteria of truth and error. 3.2 Indian theories of truth and error. In Indian philosophy, the problem of knowledge is generally considered under pramanas. There are different views about the number as well as the nature of these pramanas. Some accept one, other two, yet others three, a few others four, and some even six. The pramanas accepted in India philosophy are pratyaksha, anumana, upamana, sabada, arthapathy, and anupalabdhi. Prama is called right knowledge, and that which produces right right knowledge prama is called pramana. Prama is knowledge of an object as it is yathavasthita, and as is conducive to life or in con- consonance with experience. Vaivahara anubuna, unless and until knowledge is conducive to the furtherance of our material, moral, spiritual ends, there is no proof that knowledge has come into being. So knowledge must have a purpose. If knowledge of an object must be about the object as it is, it must be free from faults like doubt, samasya, or error. Bipar or error. Viparaya doubts arise when we see an object before us but are not able to know decisively what it is, since it appears to possess qualities and pretend to other objects and are therefore mutually contradictory, since the conflicting cognitions proceeding from the pramanas belonging either to the same class or different classes are equally poised. A person is not able to decide and he is in doubt. This stands in the way of right knowledge. Right knowledge. Similarly, viparara or error is also is an impediment in the attainment of right knowledge. This error is of two kinds: wrong apprehension, anyatha janana, and misconception, viparatajana. Janana. In wrong apprehensions, an object is cognized, but a quality that belongs to it is sublated, or a quality that does not belong to it is attributed to it. In misconception, vipartha janana, the object itself is mistaken for the another. For example, mistaking a cell for silver. The distinctions between misconception and wrong apprehension lies in the fact that in the latter, that is wrong apprehension, the object with its attributes which defines its essential nature, savarupa, nirupaka dharma, is rightly cognized, but there is error with reference to the qualities that belongs for it. Nirupita savarupa visheshana, that is to say, this is a case of Dhammapripayasa error regarding the quality or the attribute. In misconception, Viparata Janana, the specific quality defining the essential nature of the object fails to be cognized, and that of another is apprehended, with the result that the object itself is mistaken for another. For instance, the cell silver here, the object which is the shell is seen but not known as such. It is cognized as a piece of shining silver. So this is a case of dharma viparasa error regarding the substratum or dharmi. Therefore, prama is that kind of knowledge which steers clear of faults. That which is the producer of this knowledge, a pramana or instrument of knowledge. 3.3 Perception, Nivakalpaka, Nirvikalpaka, and Sivikalpaka. In precision, there is sense object contact. When we look at an object for the first time, it is cognized by us as having some form rupa and some qualities guna. This is called nirvikalpaka. Pratyaksha or indeterminate perception, because in these cognitions Our knowledge is restricted to that one object before us and to the qualities that in it at that moment. There is no thought in our mind whether there are other objects similar to that and belonging to that species that the qualities do appear along with the object even in this first cognition. Nirivikalpaka pratyaya pratyakasha has to be accepted since if it is knowledge, it is always experienced in the following form. This is thus idem etham. The term this refers to the object cognized and thus to the qualities and form that are inseparably connected with it. In Savikalpaka Pratyaksha or determinate perceptions, the object is cognized along with the specific form and qualities. The difference between and two perception lies in this fact that in the former Nirvikalpaka only that one object is cognized, whereas in the latter Savikalpaka the thought that the object is similar to the one that was seen already, and therefore the object is one of the several objects belonging to the particular species. Thus whether the perception is determinate or indeterminate, or an object is cognized is being invariably qualified by some inseparable attributes, but never as a merely something devoid of form qualities. The Navya classifies perception as Laukika ordinary and Alaukika extraordinary. We have Alaukika perception when there is the usual sense contact with object present to sense. In Alaukika perceptions, however, the object is such as is not ordinarily present to sense but is conveyed to sense through an unusual medium. Perception again it up to kinds, namely external bahaya and internal manasa. The former is due to the external senses of sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. The latter is brought about by the mind's contact with physical states and processes. 3.4 Criteria of truth. In the Western epistemology, there are four main theories of truth and error. These are known as intuitionist, the coherent, the pragmatist, and the correspondence theory of truth and error. According to the intuitionist theory, will truth is interesting to one kind of knowledge. Error or falsity is interesting to a different kind. This means that some cases of knowledge are intrinsically true, while others are intrinsically false, so much so that we immediately apprehend the truth of the one class and the falsity of the other. Among the Indian systems of philosophy, we find that the Samakya system accepts the intuitionist theory in respect of both truth and error, while the Mimamsa and the Advaita Vedanta system accept it in the case of truth but reject it as regards error. According to the Samakya, both truth and falsity are internal characters of different cases of knowledge. If one knowledge is true and another false, that is so because of their own internal conditions and without reference to any external text like correspondence, coherence, etc. Truth is latent in some cognitions and errors in others from the very first moment of their occurrence. Of their and these are immediately apprehended by us at that moment. Or true cognition is true and known to be true by itself, and it can never be made false. Thus the Samkhya holds that both truth and falsehood are internally conditions and immediately known. This is the theory of Pramanya and Apramanya, that is the intrinsic validity and invalidity of knowledge. The Mimamsa and the Advaita Vedanta, however, take truth is as intrinsic to all knowledge. All knowledge, Savata Pramanya and error as an abnormal phenomenon due to certain external and unvitiating factors in the conditions of some cognitions. Parat or pramanya will truth is intrinsic and organic to knowledge. Falsity or error is accidental and externally conditions. Any cognition is true so far as it reveals its object, and it is immediately known to be true so far as it is uncontradicted avadita. The correspondence theory of truth and error holds the truth consistent corresponded to fact and is indirectly verified by experience, but the Navya view of the truth is logical and agrees with the correspondence theory. For Navya, truth consists in correspondence, but the criterion is coherence in a broad sense. Some whether the coherence is a practical test and means the harmony between cognitive and convex. The Navaya coherence is the practical test and means the harmony between cognitive and contemplative exi- existence. Pravati samarthya or between different kinds of knowledge. Tajatita that there is truth in the sense of correspondence cannot as truly be known directly by intuitions. We know indirectly from the fact that the knowledge is quotient correlates with other experience of the same object, as also with the general systems of our knowledge through the perceptions of water is known to be valid when different ways of reactions or experiment gives us the same experience of water. According to Navier, the truth of knowledge consists in its correspondence with objective facts, will coherence and practical utility as a test of truth. It defines the truth of knowledge as a correspondence of relations. Tadviti tat prakaram Tadviti Tat Prakaram, the Nyaya view is a kind of logical realism because it believes in an independent world of objects standing in certain relations to one another through Mimamsa. Upload the realism or of Naya Vaisesika it dispenses with the need words of utterance and therefore eternal. The relations between the words of Vedas and their meanings are natural, necessary and eternal. Be out not to think the thing that things were here already before they were named. The world and the thing it names go together, and it is impossible to think of either as having had a beginning in time, but we must carefully note what in this view is meant by the terms world and thing. In order to know the character of the former, it is necessary to distinguish first between varna and dhavani. A varna is an articulate sound. It conceived as integral Niravayava and omnipresent Sarvagata, and therefore also eternal Nitya. Word Sabda is two or more of these varnas and is regarded as merely an aggregate samudaya and not as a whole avayavina, distinguishable from each of its constituent parts and from all of them. The Dhavani is a tone or means of revealing means of revealing burners as regards the thing signified by words. We are not to understand the particular facts of experience which come into bring and disappear, but the corresponding universals which are eternal and of which the passing individuals are nothing more than signs. That is the significance of the word is general through when associated with other words to form a sentence. It may come to denote a particular the word and the meaning being both eternal. The relations between them also is necessarily so. Mimamsa believes that only Vedic texts are eternal and beginningless, handed down from teacher to pupil with the scrupulous care thought Kumarila and Prabhakara. Except the realistic theory of knowledge, they differ with regard to memory in the validity of knowledge. Knowledge, according to the Bhattas, recollection is not valid for novelty. Novelty is a necessary condition of validity. Truth should not only be to contradicted by subsequent knowledge avadita. It should also point to something not iterato known. Andigata Pravakara does not accept these conditions for all experience. Anubhuti, whether the object be already known or not is valid for him. Even the so-called error satisfies the requirement if all experience by its every nature is valid. May be asked how error arises at all. Kumarila and Prabhakara differ considerably in their answers to the questions, and their explanations are known respectively as Viparita, Khyati, and Akhyati. 3.5 Khyati Vadas. Khyati Vada theory of apprehension. If all knowledge is said to be right knowledge and the other valid, how are we to explain the occurrence of illusion in the world? Pramiti. Right knowledge is the knowledge of reality as it is and that leads to successful activity. It is distinguished from erroneous conditions which does not end in such a successful activity. It must be understood at the outset that in regards to the illuminations of an object, there is no difference between prama right knowledge and aprama false knowledge, but right knowledge differs from erroneous knowledge in respect of the difference of the volitional and emotional aspects of the recipient's personality. Indian philosophers have critically discussed the nature of erroneous conditions and have proposed different theories of it. The term Khyati is used to refer to erroneous condition. Five theories have been mentioned as theories of error. In other words, there are five types of Khyati Vada. As Indian theories of error, they are Atma Khyati, Astakhyati, Akhyati, Anyatakhyati, and Anivakan Anivakanitya Khyati. 3.6 Atmakhyati. According to the follower, the Atmakhyati human soul is of the nature of cognition. Hence it is known as eternally cognitions, and its objects are not different and imagined. External object is also of the nature of cognition. The cognition preparation of a snake is in a rope, or the perceptions of silver in the cell is in fact nothing but cognitions. Hence error is another form of cognition. The Vijnanavadi Buddhist, a type of idealist, are the supporters of Atmakhyati. The another form cognitions, the Vijananavadi Vijnanavadi Buddhist, a type of idealist, are the supporters of Atmakhyati. The poles of this view have not denied the fact that some of our experience of external objects are correct and some of them are incorrect. In order to give an account of this phenomenon, they have accepted the impositions of positions, cognitions of imagined external objects. According to them, an imagined snake or a piece of silver is unreal as such if it is considered as different from cognitions. In an erroneous cognition, the rope is recognized as a snake. It is due to error that a rope cognizance is revealed as a snake. It is to be noted that in an erroneous cognitions, rope is not cognized as a moving snake, so it is cognized is a stationary snake. This type of error is an error of cognition. For this reason of Vijnanavadi Buddhists are called Atmakhyati Vadins. According to the Vedantins, the waking life is not the same as dream experience, experience. Therefore, they are critical of the Atmakhyati Vadan, Atmakhyati Vadin's view on cognition. Moreover, perception of an external object like a pot cannot be a property of cognition. We apprehend the largeness of a pot when our visual sense organ is in contact with the object. If the object are momentary as held by the Buddhist, then it is impossible to perceive the largeness of object. This is due to the fact that the object ceases to exist when perceive their largeness. For this reason, the thesis of the Buddhist that everything is momentary can't be established according to the followers of the vision and Vada. The snake, which is of the nature of a cognition, is imposed on the external rope in the illusory cognition. It is the very nature of a cognition that it appears as another cognition. It is the very nature of a cognition that is appears as another cognition. The Jain philosophers are the upholds of seven forms of judgment. Sadvada, they have accepted two type of cognition, which pratyaksha direct and parokasa indirect, which are not being contradicted. Their view is similar to that of Vijayanavada. 3.7 ASATK ATK HYATI HYATI
Asakyati is a Sanskrit word that means wrong or improper perception or knowledge. It is a theory in Indian philosophy that explains how erroneous perceptions occur when an imaginary object is superimposed on another imaginary object.
3.7 or security. According the Sanavadi Buddhist and the Karvaka, everything in this world is unreal. In an erroneous cognitions, an unreal object is imposed on another unreal object. Since all the elements are unreal, this is view is called security. The followers of this view accept the the erroneous cognitions of objects such as the sky, flower, the son of a barren woman, etc. According to the Karvakas, everything is not unreal, but object or person such as God, which are not amenable to the senses, as unreal. Since the Karvaka philosophers have accepted the erroneous cognitions of unreal object, their view is also called Asikhyati. Some of the followers of Astika school also has accepted the cognitions of unreal object. When we cognize unreal objects, we understanding the meaning of expressions such as sky, flower, but the flowers of the Naya Vaisesika do not accept the cognition of an unreal object. Asad, when the meaning of a sentence of an expression is understood, the Samakhya does not accept Asikhyati. The Samakhya view is called Sadasathyati. Sadasathyati, the Madhyamika school of Buddhism, Sanyavada. Sanyavada accepts the view of Astkhyati according to the Nagarjuna, a Madhyamika Buddhist. Everything is not unreal. As according to him, Sunya is not a real, not unreal, non both real and unreal, and not different from both real and unreal. Since the followers of this type of Sunyaveda have accepted two types of truth. They're closer to Advaita Vedanta in some respects. According to Sankara, Brahman is a real entity. It is neither free from all the four alternatives of Sunyaveda, nor is it is a momentary entity. Through Sankara refutes Sunyaveda, he has been Sata. The word Samrata means imaginary, hence the view of Madhyamika philosophers such as Nagarjuna can't be identified with Asakhyati. 3.8 Akhyati. The term Akhyati means absence of error. Pravakara is the propounder of the theory of Akhyati. He does not accept illusory cognition. In fact, there is no error in the perceptions of a rope as a snake and the sail as silver. There are two cognitions. First we have perception and then memory cognitions. Two types of cognition take place and both of them are true. There is no one unitary qualificative cognition. Instead there are two cognition, perceptual and memory. There is no need to accept erroneous cognition. This view of Akhyati criticized it is act why there is fear. In the case of snake rope example, if there is no erroneous cognitions, in other words, if there is no qualificative cognitions, then it is difficult to explain the physiological attitudes or the behavior associated with erroneous cognitions. In reply, it is said that the cause of physiological attitudes such as fear is not one unitary qualitative cognition. According to the followers of Akhyati, non-apprehension of the difference Veda agraha between two objects, the rope this is perceived and the snake that is recollected is the cause for For the physiological attitude of fear, if there were two cognitions, there would have been mental perceptions of these cognitions. Since there is no mental perception of these two cognitions, and erroneous cognitions cannot be said to be two separate cognitions. This theory goes against empirical facts. 3.9 Anyatha Kyati. Anyatha Kyati is also known as Bhiprati Kyati. The Naya Vaisesika schools of Indian philosophy have accepted Anyatha Kyati. Jayanta Bhatta, the author of Naya Manjari and Gangesa Upadhyaya and Navya philosopher have established the theory of Anyata Khyati. According the Naya philosopher, in the case of an erroneous perceptions of silver in cell, both the silver and the cell are real. The cell is in front of the perceiver, but the silver is elsewhere. The silver which is elsewhere appears in the locus of the cell. Hence, the cell without appearing as cell appears as something else. In this case, it appears as silver. For this reason, the theory is called Anyatha Khyati. Appeared in a different way. The perceptions of silver in cell is as type of extraordinary perception with respect to shining. There is similarity between cell and silver. The cognitions of shining gives rise to the memory of cognition of silver. The relations of this type of perceptions is extraordinary. It is called Jnana Sanikarsa cognitions as relations. Since there is no material cause for silvers, the Advaitins refute Anyatha Khyati. According to the Advaitins, the cell appearing as silver is due to ignorance, but according to the Naya philosophers, ignorance does not belong to the type of object to which silver belongs. An object of a different type can't be material cause. For example, an earthen jar cannot be made out of gold. Moreover, the Naya philosophers claim that there is no evidence in favor of the Advaita conception of ignorance. Patanjali called the modifications of the mind. Sita Vritti as Viparaya. He is in favor of the theory of Anyatha Khyati. In this Igoga Vartika Vijnana Viksha, he also developed the view. Cognition of the elsewhere snake in the rope is Anyata Khyati. According to this view, the cognitions of the rope qualified by snakeness is true. The cognitions of the snake in the locus, which is a rope, is erroneous. This view has also been criticized. It is claimed that if the previously observed snake is perceived in the locus, this view has also been which is in front of the receiver due to the some defect in the visual sense organ or in the objective conditions such as darkness, then the place where the snake has been observed would also be cognized. If that were also, there would not be any error. It can be seen that Anyata Khyati is the underlying principle in Astakhyati in the sense of the present tenses of the sat for the asset, in Atmakhyati in the sense of the present tenses of the extra mental objects instead of the ideas, in Akhyati in the sense of the present tenses of the attributes of something as those of some other, and lastly in Anirvakanya Khyati in the sense of the present tense and appearance instead of reality. 3.10 Anirvakanya Khyati. Sanskar propounded the Advaita Veda, the theory of non-dualism, by establishing Brahman as the ultimate locus of cosmic reason. The Advaita Veda can't be substantiated with establishing imposition other adhyas. Everything is imposed on Brahman. The reality is Brahman. The word appearing is real is due to Maya. Due to ignorance we consider the world to be real. This ignorance can't be said to be real, sad, nor can it be unreal, sad, but it can be dispelled by knowledge. Janana and Anirvakanya means that something can be described indescribable when we see rope as a snake. The quality of a snake is imposed on the rope. Adhyasya, as the snake is imposed upon rope, so the rope is imposed upon Brahman, which is of the nature of consequences. Hence, ultimately, the locus of the snake, which is indescribable. Anir, Anir Anirvakanya is the consequences qualified by the rope. Here the word Anirvakanya describable means mithya, false. If something is Anirvakanya or Maktya and Maktya, then it cannot be determined either as real set or as unreal asset. If the snake imposed upon the consequences qualified by the rope by real set, then the cognition of the snake would not have been contradicted by the true cognitions of the rope. The snake were real and unreal because an object can't have opposed properties at the same time. Therefore, our cognitions of both rope sorry the snake were only the unreal asset like the sky flower, then it would not have been cognized. Again, the snake cannot be said to be not with both real and unreal because an object can't have opposed properties at the same time. Therefore, our cognitions of the rope a snake is a kind of imposition. Adhyasa, the snake is imposed on the rope. Therefore, the locus of the snake in is Anirvakanya is Anirvakanya indescribable. 3.11 Satkhyati. Ramanuja in his Srivasya discusses about Satkhyati or Yatartha Khyati, true apprention, since his view is coupled with a non-apprension akhyatya or some aspect of the object perceived. His view is akhyati samvalita Yathartha in Yathartha there is the present tense of the comparatively smaller elements of silver instead of the greater elements of the cell alpha side. When the smaller elements alone are pre-received, it is taken for silver in the subsequent cognitions. When the greater elements of the shell in the same object are grasped, the object is cognized as hell. The activity of the percipient to appropriate it to himself is arrested at first sight, for the realizes the silver element that is too small to be of any use. Vishishtadvaita propounds the theory of Satkhyati or Yathartha Khyati, according to which all knowledge is real. The correctness of Satkhyati is explained with regard to some of the experience in the world which appear to be illusory. First, let us take the self silver illusion Sukti. Sukti, Rajata, Janana. Silver is classified under the element of fire or Tejas, and shell under that of earth as a part of Tejas. Part of Tejas exists in Prithvi. After the tripartition, silver has its existence in the cell, but comparatively in a small proportion under normal circumstances. The preponderating preponderating uh, pre- preponderating part alone is grasped in an object by the sense organ, so the cell is cognized as such by the eye generally, sometimes on account of some defect in the sense of sight. The cell art fails to be cognized and the silver part alone of the cell is appended. Then a person in quest of silver goes to take it in obedience to the volitions of the mind. When the defect disappears and the cell part thereby is cognized. He concludes it is not silver, and his activity in regard to silver cases the perceptions of silver, however small it may be in the cell in the first cognitions is real, since there is some silver part in the cell which was seen. Therefore this perception is called satkhyati or athartha khyati, but at the time the cell part of it through comparatively greater person mistakes a cell of for a silver. We have to grant to the existence of two kinds of apparition of khytis, namely a satkhyati and akhyati. Hence the correctness of the view of Ramanuja, that is the case of satkhyati qualified by akhyati samavalita satkhyati. What do the Indian schools speak in general of the correspondence theory of truth? The Indian school The Indian schools of philosophy are also divided. Two main trends appear. One says that truth is self-validating savartha pramanya the pramanya Pramanyavada. The other says that truth has to be validated by something other than itself. Parartha Pramanya Veda. We do not intend to enter into the details of these two trends. The former best space represented by Samakhya Mimamsa and Vedanta, the latter by the Naya Vaisesika. But we make some reflections of our own. In Indian, similar approach to truth can be discerned as should be expected in Kavaraka. In Karvaka, their empiricism par excellence, as we have seen. The school of Indian philosophy, like it counterpart in any part of the world, except preparations alone as source of knowledge. But we are not suppose that the Karvaka philosopher was so stupid as to refrain from cooking his food because of his skeptic philosophical stance regarding the possibility of knowledge. For certain that whenever one puts his food on fire, the fire cooks it, something known by inference and not by perceptions. Any knowledge obtained in any other way except perception does have only practical pragmatic value. This heresy when have who even denied the truth of perceptual knowledge and the existence of the four physical elements generally accepted by the Indian materialist is not unaware that in spite of all denial of theoretical knowledge, practical life can and should go on when however modern commentators on India philosophy speak of pragmatism in India. In India philosophy, the single of Samakya as it is best representative, or at least which attach more importance to the practical value or workability अर्थ क्रिया करतीवा अर्थ क्रिया करित्वा of true cognitions, but is not there a big misunderstanding here. Samakya, like for that matter all the schools of Indian philosophy except Karavaka, of course, considers valid Yathartha cognitions as one which corresponds to the facts, and therefore these can all be grouped in one way or another under the correspondence theory of truth. But when they all of them speak of the taste of truth as successful activity, Pravati Samarthya. Pravati Samarthya today mean this is an epistemological sense, or in a religious and in a way ontological sense. It has to be constantly borne in mind that these schools of Indian philosophy are chiefly interested into the attainment of moksha. So the taste of true in the sense of genuine cognition is whatever such cognition is or is not conducive to the desired end. Its pragmatic character has little to do with the Western meaning of the term. In Indian, all the schools of philosophy, except of course that true cognition is characterized by self-consistency, samavada, and contradictibility, avadhitatva, by which latter term is meant not being contradicted by another true cognitions. In other words, coherence with other known truths. But as far as we know, logical positivist theory, which reduces truth only to coherence of propositions with a set of other propositions previously accepted as true, is not found in India.